while I can still see some people on screen, can I ask you first, if I can you raise your hands if you regularly use LinkedIn? Okay, so on screen one, it's a majority. I'm not going to go to screen two. Okay. Next question. Who thinks they make the most of it? Raise hands again. Oh, the numbers thin out now, don't they, chaps, yeah, and ladies? So let's see if we can help you today in some way, shape, or form. So, first of all, by the way, a bit of basic stuff. If anybody, as you've already done it or you'll do it, if you go and think, well, who is this bloke who's talking? I'll go and look at their website. That's the thing you'll see on our screen. And I have to say, and this is why you might surprise you for a lead generation guy and company. We don't like our website. Would you believe we build websites to the function of what we do in essence, but it's too fluffy and soft for us. But that's the way it is. That's the way it was going to look. But that was due to come out in about January. And where the old analogy about an electrician with loose wires or a plumber with a leaky tap. Well, we are that company where we've been that busy with web development that ours keeps getting pushed back. So one day it will look more representative, and hopefully I'll not put you off too much to have a look at it in the near future. Anyway, more importantly, great cure for insomnia for those who get the video. If ever you're finding it hard to go off at sleep at night, have a browse of this. It's probably on a par with Cooking with Water or the Everton Trophy Cabinet sort of listing. Oh, sorry, any blues there? It's basically something where you can have a look at sort of the background to this guy who says, well, who's he to talk about this? Actually, I'm going to go back to that for a reason. One thing I would add is that I'm not a guru in LinkedIn, by the way. What I'm going to share with you today is I've used LinkedIn, as you'll see on the next slide, for about 14 years. And I've used it both for myself to build business, both for my own company, for other people, for customers. So I don't claim to have a magic wand. I don't claim to have a magic formula. All I can say is this is what has worked for me, what has worked for a lot of customers that we run this service for, a lot of seminars and sort of networks that I've attended, listening to people. And I'll touch upon some of the things that Google themselves saying in their future. So that's the background. But I don't claim that I've got every answer. So it's important to state that at this stage. This is a time plan of LinkedIn. It started about 2002, December 2002, and it's grown considerably over the period. I don't know how long you good folk have been using LinkedIn, but I think I came in about 2006, 2007. If I'm truthfully honest with you, everybody, I can't tell when it was. It was somewhere between 2006 and 2008. So I've put it at 2006. As a platform, it's just grown beyond all belief. So again, if you want to watch the video, not quite as good a cure for insomnia at this stage. This is what you can see basically with some of the key milestones in LinkedIn's development. What it really comes down to, though, is why should you use LinkedIn in your strategy, particularly in this post-COVID new norm world? And I'd recommend it for a number of reasons. And I'm not going to, here's the good point, I hope, people. I'm not going to read every slide out as if it was Billy and Johnny's reading book by Enid Blyton. Because I don't know about you guys, but I find death by PowerPoint or the narrator saying, and here is the slide that I made earlier, and I am going to read out every single point by point, isn't really my style of presentation. So I'll hope you good folk will pick up the key points. But if you just look at how many members there are worldwide, I did read something only the other week, but I think it's about 670 now. But the last qualified source we have, which I can say is 100% accurate, is 610 million members. But I think it's nearer to 670 on some recent figures. And if you look down some of the key points here, look at the third point, $75,000 a year. That's what, £50,000 a year approximately in old currency, probably a little bit less the way the pound is. But effectively, we're in a media where the people who are online that you can reach out to, that you can interact with, that you can build your reputation and your profile with, they're normally high earning people, business community, well-educated, literate, people who want to engage with others. So there's no platform like it in the business world to basically engage with other people. Numbers on the right are the interesting ones as well. What social media site makes the most? Now, those amongst you and your old business people, just multiply $17.10 by 610 million. It's quite a big number. It's a lot of zeros, and that's really why LinkedIn works for people. And if you look at how it compares to other platforms like Twitter and Pinterest and Facebook, a very, very small number in comparison, it's huge money that's involved in LinkedIn. So that's why it's such a powerful brand and such a powerful media platform in this day and age. Recruiters are on there. So I'm going to ask, can I ask Saqib a favor here, because I can't see screen two while I'm doing this. Are there any recruiters in this seminar? If there are, Saqib, can you drop me a note in the, or can someone put that in? Because I've got to tell you, recruiters, you are normally the bane of my jokes in this presentation. So I hope you've got a thick book down behind your backside, and you're prepared with a thick skin, because recruiters are normally the good people to talk about on LinkedIn. So you have been warned, I must tell you. Okay, if we were all meeting in that beautiful era that used to exist, when we could meet in real buildings and drink real drinks and see people and actually breathe the same air, there was a policy that you would normally follow, which is exactly the same online as offline, and that is that you get to know somebody, you get to like them, and you get to trust them. Now, if you think about it, think of all the people that are on screen at the moment. You will know some of them, you will not know others. And effectively, the first stage is just to be known. It's just to be recognized. It's something I describe to people we sort of help with LinkedIn, is that it's coming to the edge of their radar screen. It's just becoming known to the target audience. And that's the first stage. But if you've ever had those people who in LinkedIn will connect with you, and all of a sudden, and sorry recruiters, here comes the first barb, yeah, you literally, if you've ever had the challenge of connecting with a recruiter, and then if you get to know it well, you might go 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, bing, in it pops into your message box, the 13-paragraph essay about why the Acme recruitment company is the greatest thing since sliced bread, that your life has been unfulfilled ever since, and it will perk up everything, including your sex life, and that they are the people to use for recruitment in the future. That's maybe one of the more negative impressions you may have had of LinkedIn. So that's too quick. We're going to come to that later. What you have to do is you have to get to know somebody, then you have to take them and engage with them and nurture them on a journey where they get to like you, and then in time they get to trust you. And that is no different than if you were doing that process in a networking meeting, or if you were doing it in networking face-to-face, if you were in a company. Everybody's got to go on a journey. Now, the other point that I would make to you there, if I can, is how many people, raise your hand if you deal with a supplier that you don't like? Oh, well, J Major, I'm going to ask you that one of interest, Saqib, as well. I suspect that must be BT, or probably the Taxman, or somewhere like that, where you haven't got a choice. But in essence, the point I'm making, as I'm sure you understood, is people buy people. It's a cliche, but it's true. And people, when they are a supplier to a customer, they may not like some of those people. They may not think they're the greatest folk. They may think they're narky or whatever else they might think. But when it comes to suppliers, you have the power, you have the choice, and you're buying from people where effectively you want to be in control. You want to deal with people that you like. So anybody that comes into your environment, comes into your world as a prospective supplier of goods and services, you need to know them. That's the first point. But then you need to get to like them and to trust them. You typically won't do business otherwise. So as the person trying to ingratiate yourself or introduce yourself into your target audience, right, what you need to do is to go on that journey of know, to like, to trust. It's very, very important to follow it in that sequence. What you then need to think about is how to make the most of LinkedIn is, well, what's your goal? I mean, why are you here today? I'm sure you're not here because you thought, do you know what, I've got an hour to kill. I've got that double act I've heard about from Lancashire and Cheshire, the Bip and Ian show. I'll go online and I'll go and see how their repertoire's coming along. Not so well as you've gathered by now, but it'll be great by week 4 when Peter gets to speak. You've come here for a reason. The subject matter's probably interested you, and you've thought, I know about LinkedIn, I use it, but I'd like to use it better. So what is your goal? And it's probably to expand your profile to people who you want to be seen by, who you want to influence, people that you want to do business with, people that you want to introduce your company, yourself, your goods and services. And therefore, what you need to be thinking about is, how will you reach those people, and who in particular will reach that goal with you? And you can use LinkedIn to find them. Now, I'll give you an analogy here if I can. Can you imagine if you're after a number of people, and I'm not sure who can see me on screen, who can see the slide, but for those that can see me, you're on double screens. Imagine I've got a big Gatling gun and I'm just spraying bullets at the world incessantly. I'm just spraying bullets in a big arc again and again. Well, it's very wasteful on bullets, and every now and then a body drops over every sort of 10 days or 10 weeks. But boy, I'm wasting a lot of time and energy and an awful lot of bullets in trying to find the people that I want to hit. Whereas if I'd picked up my long-range shooting rifle and I'd very carefully targeted who I want to do business with, I would spend more time and effort in reaching those 4, 5, 6, 10 people rather than just spraying bullets at the world. And that's the analogy, which is what a lot of people are doing on LinkedIn. They don't have a strategy. They don't have a focus as to who they want to target, who they want to be introduced to, who they want to become a much more prominent and viable supplier of their goods and services, and who they want to influence with their character, their personality, and give that target audience reasons why they are better than their competition. So the first thing you need to do is, and this is, I think, the first thing I would do if any of you take something from this today, and don't just make it a 1 hour fad and leave it at that, which lots of people do, but you can take the horse to water. I can't make you drink, good folk. So first thing to do is look at your profile. Now, these might sound blindingly obvious, by the way, or as if you'll pardon the mild swear word, I think John Cleese once said about Sybil, about her chosen subject for Mastermind, it was the bleeding obvious. The younger ones will be scratching their heads, but it was a good series, really, I promise you. If you look at your profile, first of all, your profile picture. Now, the point I'd always make here is, does your profile picture look like you? Or does it look like you 20 years ago when you were demobbed from the army, okay? If somebody met you, would they be in danger of recognizing you? Because many of the time, I've actually sort of in the past, I've seen a LinkedIn profile picture of somebody, I've met them for the first time, and I've literally stood back in horror thinking, whoa, yeah, that was them 15, 20 years ago, or that's when they had hair. My business partner was like this. He used to look young and sort of not the baldy that he is now, because it's obligatory in our place to be follically challenged. But in his case, he had a full head of hair on his picture. And I'm thinking, if people meet you, they're going to wonder who you are, Chris. They'll think there's an alien in your body. So you've got to show a picture that's got to show your target audience what you look like. If you wear a suit and tie, or a shirt and tie for work, like Saqib, sartorial elegance personified, sir, right? You should show that shirt and tie in the picture. If you interact with people in the good old days when we will meet in a polo shirt, do that. If Jeff Molyneux, that's you, there's your link, Jeff, right, wears a baseball cap, and he's think, wear your baseball cap, but your picture should be how you will be when that person meets you face to face. And that's surely your aim, that you want to meet these people and you want to use LinkedIn as a bridge, a step towards get to doing business with them. So make your picture representative of who you are today, how you would dress. It doesn't have to be a passport photo. It looks like where you're being held at gunpoint by a Serbian militia. You can smile on it. It's not disallowed. You know, make the profile look like you, give it a warm, friendly greeting. Now, the second thing is, how many people do not utilize that big advertising space behind you? And if you've got a blue banner behind you, you're missing the biggest opportunity to make the first impression, where effectively you say who your company is. You can get your brand in there. You can get your website details. It could be a phone number. It could be what we call a call to action, what you do or why people should engage with you. You've got a huge opportunity there in that banner behind you to promote your company. So the first impression is good. Now, again, going back to the point about who has suppliers that they don't like, already some of you people have made a judgment on me if you haven't met me. Now, again, don't tell me, because me crying is not a good thing on screen, but in essence, you've already decided by now whether you like me or don't like me. Keith Tully, you're excluded from this because you already don't like me, okay? But in essence, the rest of you, you're already making judgments, and we all do the same thing on screen. We do it when we meet people at networking. There's something about the human brain that says, I like him, I don't like her, I do like her, I'm not sure about this. That's human nature. So everything you do on your profile needs to be the right first impression that's representative of you and who you are, gives a flavor of your personality, says why you're different and better than your competition. It shows that you're human, okay, that you're nice people to do business with, and you in particular are a nice person to engage with. It's corporate, it's professional in terms of your brand, your logo, your website. That's the chance to really hit them on the first thing. I'm not going to read through all the rest of these points, but I'm sure they're self-explanatory. I promise you I wouldn't give you death by PowerPoint, although it could be death by PDF today. This is not a PowerPoint. I've changed the format, but that's for another day. But first impressions really do matter. Make sure that you really put some time and effort into your profile. Think about it as going to it for the first time from somebody that doesn't know you. Somebody that is being given a 15-second opportunity to have a snapshot of you about whether they want to engage with you. And now that you've become known to them, do they want to go on the journey to like and trust you? First impressions count. Now, with LinkedIn, you're probably here to build your business. If you're not, I'm not quite sure why you're here in truth, apart from you like the company of people on a Zoom screen. But effectively, what do you want to do? Well, you probably want personal introductions to clients. You may want to create job posts, recruitment alert. I think it's 77% of recruiters use LinkedIn. But what you got to think about here as well is, by the way, going back to profiles, is that how many times have you ever seen a profile for an individual and you think, crikey, O'Reilly, it's a CV? You know, and it might say Fred Smith. Fred is a wonderful individual who brings joy to all that meet him, sells like there's no tomorrow, never has a day off. And you think, it's a job advert. It's a CV application. It's not actually about the guy and the company or the lady and the business. So you really want to think about how your profile will actually sell yourself, but be a little bit more subtle about it. Don't make it a CV. By all means, if you're looking for another job and you're unhappy with your employer, right, fine, great. But if you want to really use LinkedIn properly, make sure that it gives a detailed overview of you and that it gives to anybody who's going to connect with you in the future, be referred to, you see you on comments, and we're going to come to that in a second. Make sure it's representative. The other point, by the way, I hope you can see my mouse working there, and it's not a little mouse, it's in the skirting board. Get endorsements. There's nothing better than showing trust, ability, the fact that you satisfy needs for other people. I think one of the earliest forms of advertising that we're all taught is about solving pain or gain. So in essence, think about when you're going to show your profile to the world, think about the fact of what pain are you going to solve for them? What gain are you going to give to them? And that's really what they're in it for, okay? I'm giving some time to you, but in essence, why are you of value to me? So think about how you do that quite carefully. Pain and gain, how are you going to increase brand awareness of you and your business and put yourself up the ladder in terms of becoming a supplier to those people of choice or elevate the pitch in the future? In essence, this is what you do on a LinkedIn cycle. Virtuous, bit of a strange word, but what word could I have chosen? You find people, you connect with them, you then engage, you build, and you convert it into a firm prospect with who you're going to meet face to face in the future. That's the first time I've read every piece of text, so I apologize for doing what I said I wouldn't do earlier, but hopefully you'll allow me on this one exception. That's really the process that you're going to follow in LinkedIn. Now, finding your audience. It's really, really important here to make sure that you make the searches that you've got and the time that you allocate to using LinkedIn to really be as profitable as possible. So think very, very carefully about who you're going to go and introduce yourself to and where you're going to bring your wares. Now, I'm not a digital marketer, gasp, shock, horror. Like my colleagues and the clever people back at Base, I'm an old-fashioned marketer. And I was taught 30 plus years ago, far too many years ago, the 3 M's of marketing, which I still refer to. Who's your market? Drill it down, identify your target audience, what level of decision maker, what geography, what type of position they hold. Then look at the second M of marketing. What is the message that you're going to say? If I could give you good folk today 30 seconds in front of a person or a customer, a prospective customer you've always wanted to do business with, but I was going to give 2 of your biggest competitors the same opportunity, and each of you had a 30-second pitch, and the winner of the best 30-second pitch would then get a 30-minute pitch, okay? I'll just say, by the way, Keith Cube, what a great wall you've got there. You're my kind of man. Sorry, apologies. And what you really, I've been distracted now, guys. I've got to get back on focus. Come on in, get back in the room. 30-second pitch wins it. Then you get 30 minutes to work with these people. And therefore, what you have to do is really focus and distill what's good about your company, what's different, what's unique. Do you go the extra mile in this regard? You're owner managed, the passion that you have in what you do. Differentiate, because there's lots of people doing what you do. Bring the personal flavor to it. That's what you have the chance to do with LinkedIn. Show them what's better about you, about your company, how you'll go the extra mile, what you'll do for them. Distinguish yourself. You know that you're better than your competition. Prove it. Lift it into a message that's simple to grasp and understand by your target audience, why you're someone they want to engage with and want to get to know more about in the future. So you can find your audience with a detailed drill down, use that functionality, go after who you want, target people carefully. Remember the analogy, go for the rifle. You're better off going for 10 people that you really, really want to do business with and engage in than 100 or 1,000 that you just spray bullets at the world. You really have just got to go after the ones that are the ones you want to do business with. They will be there on screen. You will find them, And they will all give you telltale signs, what motivates them, what enthuses them, what they like and don't like. The clues are all there. Right, he says. Next one. There's also a function called advanced people search, which LinkedIn used to sort of, this used to be available on free versions, but it's not anymore. So some of you may know of something called Sales Navigator. Some of you may know of the premium. These are paid for accounts that you can have within LinkedIn, where they're about 60 to 80 pounds a month. And you can then drill down even further into an advanced people search. I get asked this one quite often by people. My genuine suggestion, if you would be, is don't go to that next level paid for until you've mastered your craft in the basic version. For example, whilst I hit my limit every month on searches, I haven't used premium for about 12, 18 months. I'm focused enough on what I do with the basic non-paid version of LinkedIn to find enough of a target audience. So you have got an advanced people search function, but get it right with the basic version before you go to that would be my genuine suggestion to you. When you send a connection request, this is the biggest area to really jump out and hit people. Remember that point about first connections and first pointers being oh so vital. What you want to do here is personalize it. If you think about it, how many of you have received an invite in the past and you've thought to yourself, there's nothing about this person, I don't know you, what's in it for me? Really think about how you can make your introduction as personable as possible. Tell them something about themselves that shows that you've taken the time and effort to learn about them. Make it personal, tell them about something they like or don't like. I give an example in most of my talks that I'm a sucker for anybody that's into dogs and animal welfare. Those are my key subjects. I could get the most ardent person of a subject I don't like, but if they drop me a note saying, I've seen your post about your dogs, like you, I'm interested in animal welfare, they're going to get connected. So I'm now expecting a rush of recruiters to come to me who tell me the dog fans, but I've let myself with my own go on that one, haven't I? So think about connection requests. There's a note on screen, as you can see, and I'll pick on the third circle, reference something from their profile. He said, breaking the teeth in for somebody else. If you look at most people's posts and you look at the people that you want to do business with, if they're regular users and engagers on LinkedIn, they will show you something in their profile about what they like, what they don't like, who they engage with. They will give you clues. And if you then, when you introduce yourself to them, say, dear Fred, I noticed that like me, you're an advocate of. Dear Bill, I noticed that. Dear Saqib, I found that in a recent visit, I came across this. I believe that's an area of interest to you. If you show that you've taken the time and effort and you've got something in common with them, you will get a lot further in your connection requests. Now, we have found that on connection requests that are personalized, because we do this service for other people, posting as them under a very specific parameters, our connection requests can go up from about 25% to 75% plus if we really spend the time and effort making the introduction personalized, specific, and we start to build personality and we show our human side and we show what we have in common with the other person. In other words, I want to know you, but I'd like you to like me, but here's the reasons why. So I'm not going to read them all out on there, but remember that you've got all that information to use. You've got 300 characters, and that includes full stops, it includes commas, it includes semicolons. So what I suggest that you perhaps do as well is perhaps have a little series of introductory messages which you can personalize and tailor, but for goodness sake, don't do what some people do. And I've had it happen to me. You may have had it happen to you where I get dear first name here, I'd like to connect, or dear X, it really does happen. Suffice to say, they don't get through the connection with me. So personalize it. By all means, use little things to help you, but read your note 2 or 3 times, because once you've clicked send, it's gone. It's into the internet, hyperspace, into LinkedIn. You can't take it back. So again, first impressions count. Now, another one that you could do is you could personalize it to something they've actually said in a recent post. So an example being here, which is based on myself, but quite often if someone says, I'll give you an example today. I could drop a note to one of you guys to say, hi, Katie Toll, jump off your settee because I can see you really, okay? You could basically say, that's Katie, Katie must play poker. She's not responded here at all. She's deadpan. Come on, Katie, give us a wave. Give us a thumbs up. There we go. Good lady. I thought I was going to send an ambulance around, Katie, but now it's okay. Anyway, apologies. Do something to say, I saw you on a webinar. I saw you through this. Make it personable to them. Bring a smile to their face. Katie's even smiling now. Okay, so do something to make an impression that makes them go, I like that person. There's something about them. Yeah, okay. And then they read on your profile with a connection request. They look at the recent activity that you've posted, and then it's personable. They're a real person, not just a name on a screen. So take some time and effort to personalize your connections. You will not regret it if you do that. If you're a recruiter, did we get any? I don't know if Saki told me. Anyway, recruiters can sort of say, "Dear Fred, I know you're interested in this job of nuclear physicist. Probably not the right thing for me. Make it personable, make it accurate, make it realistic, make it something where they want to connect with you. Then you're on that journey thereafter. Get the effort at the front end. You'll reap the rewards in the future. I promise you that much." This is one here, for example, where one of the ones I use quite often is, here's one of my tips, so I can't use it for you guys now, is that I look, for example, on something like, have a look at your website. People may not know if their websites are secure, and there's a little thing which says HTTPS, S secure, and if you look at a website that's not secure, on the top left of the screen, it will say not secure. So one of my best opening gambits has been to people is, hi, Joe. I wanted to make a connection to you. Here's the reason why. But by the way, are you aware that your website is not secure? So potential visitors to your website may be put off thinking there's a phishing attack. That's PHISAH, not a guy with a rod and an angler like my friend up at Shout Expo. Basically, it's a phishing expedition. Danger, here's something where, are you aware of it? And I then normally say, not trying to be clever, not trying to be difficult, just pointing out you may not be aware of it. That has opened doors for me. At so many occasions, it's not true, because I've pointed out something to them that their IT guy or their website provider may not have pointed out to them. Sometimes there's nothing to be lost by being a fresh pair of eyes to make an observation and bring something to somebody's attention to benefit them, which then makes them think, thanks for that. Didn't ask anything from me, just wanted to point something out to me. So think about your connection messages, very, very important. Right, key don'ts. I'm looking at the clock and I've got to speed up now, folks. I'm rambling on too much. So good Led Zeppelin song, by the way, for those of a certain age. Right, here's the don'ts. Okay, number one, do not send a sales pitch after connecting, because there's no more of an instant turn off than connect, bang. Sorry, recruiters, I'm back at it again. But in essence, once you've got the connection, all you then do is you're known. You've then got to go on that journey to like, to trust. So do not send a sales pitch after connecting, okay? Straight away, if you do that, you're dead in most people's eyes. They'll unfollow you, or you're just basically, you're there as a hunter, okay? You've got to think about what's in it for them, how are you going to nurture that and engage in that relationship. And the thing I'd add there as well, by the way, is that LinkedIn, as with websites and as with search engine optimization, content is king. If your content is engaging, if you nurture people, if you send them on a journey which tells them about yourself and how you're going to benefit them, what you've done for other people like you, that's the key. But you don't do a sales pitch straight away. The second one is never move the conversation offline is an issue with some people. Now, I'll give you an example. I'm 33 years happily married. My wife's around the corner, so I better be careful what I say. But I have been, really, I promise you. Okay, you would never go to somebody and say on a first date or on online dating, I've connected, I love you, can you marry me? They'd probably report you to the police or run into the nearest river. So don't jump in straight away. But equally, there will come a stage when you've gone on that journey from know to like to trust, where you will need to move the conversation offline. And that will be the time to pick up the phone and say, I just thought I'd prove I'm not a computer. I thought I've got a real voice. Or you'd actually say, how about meeting up for a coffee in this post-COVID world, albeit socially distanced? Let's get to know each other. So nurture online, but then come offline when you're ready to take it. And if you don't do that and you never take it offline, you'll never ever convert it into a customer. They've got to see you as a real person. And at some stage, they've got to hear your voice. They've got to see you. Get on the Zoom, okay? Do something to show them, to get the breadth of your personality across to them. Very, very important. And then the last one on there, no follow-up after the initial connection. Now, we work with some people where they might have 10,000 connections, 15,000 connections, and they say, and I quote, it never works for me, LinkedIn. I've got 10,000 connections and it's never worked. And I will often say to them, well, and I'll go through the connections with them and I'll say, well, this one here, Fred Smith at the Acme Company, you joined up with him 4 years ago. Have you ever spoke to him? No, he's forgotten about you. He doesn't know you from Adam. So once you've connected, that's all you've done is you've become known. But to carry on being known, you've got to work with them and nurture them by engagement. You've got to provide copy and information and give them snapshots of you, your business, your life, how you help people, the gain that you give. If you don't follow up with them after initial connection, they're no good. They're a name in hyperspace. So you've got to move and actually start to engage your audience. So those are the three things. If you don't do those, don't follow these key don'ts, you'll have a much better chance of converting and nurturing your audience in time. Think about this. What's in it for who? Do you know what most people in business are like? Okay. I'm going to wait for to draw this one out. Selfish, self-centered, think about themselves. Guilty as charged. Who doesn't go to bed at night worrying about, are they going to pay the bills in the COVID area? Or is Fred productive as he used to be when he's out the office? Same thing applies with most business people. So when you engage with them, when you post content, make sure that you're actually doing something that has benefit to the audience. So what is in it for them? If you want to engage with them, if you want to nurture them as a prospective customer, view the world through their eyes, not your eyes. Provide content, give them information, tell them about things you do for other people that they'll identify with. Tell them things that you'll bring to the party that will make their life easier. Tell them how you'll help them grow their business. Don't just tell them how wonderful you are, or you won, the gold medal for the 25 yards breaststroke when you're at school. They're not bothered. Do something that's personable to them and think about them rather than yourself in how you post your content. If you do that and you show a human side to yourself, that's how you'll go from no to like to trust. This is the one above all else, people. It's a cliche, but it's true. So again, I'm not going to read out all the things on the right-hand side. I'll tell you what, there is actually one exception to this. And Keith Tully, I'm looking at you. Yeah, I actually buy people apart from Keith. Okay, but despite that, sorry, Keith, I had to say that, and I can see you smiling. I'm on screen too. No, Keith's a good example. There are people I've met over the past 12 months who've become really good friends. Okay, that I can banter with about subjects. If anyone wants a clue of that, by the way, have a look at an engagement between myself and Mr. Tully today, or Jethro, as I've christened him. You need to go on my profile, read the exchange, and you'll find out why. Keith likes living in the past. I'll leave it at that. Okay, he's laughing now, so he's going to get me back later, and I know I'm going to be gotten back on a post-it later on. But get your personality across. Show people who you are. Show the passion for what you do. LinkedIn is the way to do that. Everybody buys somebody else. Nobody likes working in a bubble. People do buy people. I think what's happened in the COVID era or the post-COVID era, we've all valued society more. We've all valued connecting and interacting with people. Get the flavour of that personality across to people. If you show the real you, find the people that want to do business with you, show them why you'll add value to what they do day to day, and how you'll put a smile on their face. They'll like it more, I promise you. Apart from Keith. Humanize and personalize your content. Right, the clock's ticking down. I've got to speed up now. I went to a convention. It sounds like I'm a Mormon here, but I'm not, I promise you. I went to a convention with a number of folk from LinkedIn about 18 months ago. It was down at Excel in London. And LinkedIn in Europe is based in Dublin. And when you meet the LinkedIn sort of senior management team, I swear there's a factory in Ireland that makes them, yeah? They're all about 30, about 6 foot, whether they're male or female, perfect pale skin. They've all got the same mild Dublin accent or whatever, and they're all incredibly engaging. They probably did a degree that morning before breakfast. They're that clever, but they're great people, and they tell you some interesting stuff. And one of the things they told us was that all their research at that time in spring 2019 showed them what people were looking for in LinkedIn posts. And the biggest thing above all was emotion. And then linked to that was people love stories, but they particularly love true stories. So Keith, I'm going to do it again now, okay? If I told you that Man United had won the league this year, I would be telling a big fat porky, okay? I'm sorry, Manchester audiences, okay? If I told you Liverpool had won the championship, right, I'd be telling you the truth. So consequently, true stories are what matter, or old stories if you're Keith and you want 2013 to be resurrected. Sorry, I had to say that again, Keith, okay? But people like stories and they like true stories. So show what you do with people day to day. Show how you interact with people. People will then warm to you. They'll see your personality. And do you know what as well? What all the LinkedIn research shows? They will share your story with somebody else because it's got a human angle. It's got that heart. It's got that thing that struck a chord with them, twanged at the heart, whatever it was. If it's something they like and they smile at and they warm to, they'll share it with other people who will then share it with other people. And that's how things go viral. That's how Twitter or Facebook works. If you do something that's got a nice human interest story, is a good publicity for you and your business, shows what a nice person and company you are, share it with the world. Show how you help company A, but you could help company B or company C. Build creativity on your posts. I think the thing that LinkedIn said was emotions, not metrics. Metrics are secondary in LinkedIn. It's about engaging with people and people liking you and remembering you. So think about that and you'll go a lot further, I promise you. When you create your posts, and this is Lauren's graphic, so magic, you've got your little mention now, okay? These are things here that will show you, tell stories, get your personality involved, use hashtags. One note, by the way, hashtags, maximum of 3 hashtags. Don't use more than 3 hashtags. And when you put your hashtags in, type your subject in, look at what self-populates or what comes up. That means there's already a trend for it. Go with one of those. If you put I love dogs, but cats are awful, and they scratch the door. There's no history for it, no hashtag. If you put LinkedIn marketing, if you put helping business, you'll see the auto suggestions coming up. You've got an audience that's already trending for your hashtag. So pick ones that are trending already. Use 3. Okay. Ask questions. Ask things like, "Here's my view of the world. What do you think?" Get the engagement. One of the basic things I'm sure you were all taught in sales training years ago, ask open-ended questions. Who, what, why, where. Ask things that will solicit questions, things that will ask people to engage with you, give their feelings or views about things. Start a dialogue off with people. You're going on that journey from know to like to trust. Engage with them, nurture with them, invest in them. The golden hour, okay? I'm nearly there, guys, I promise you, okay? The golden hour. Very quickly, in the first hour, all the research suggests that the first hour is golden. What do I mean by that? When you post, the more people that like it, the more people that engage with it, the more people that comment on it, it suddenly jumps up LinkedIn's algorithms. If you want to try and beat the system, get together with some friends, and when you post in the first hour, get your friends primed to write a comment as quickly as possible, reply to their comment, there's 2 comments, and then so on. So 5 people, 5 replies, 10 comments. Get as many likes as you can. The more activity that LinkedIn's algorithm picks up in the first hour, the more it will then put your message in front of other people. So if you've got limited posts that you can do, plan them, get your audience working with you, comments, activity, likes, anything which basically flags up to LinkedIn. This has got some traction, do it, but it's an hour. You've got a golden hour to push your cause to the world. Other people are not aware of that one. Groups. You may not realize with groups that if you go in groups, you then get access to a much wider field of people. I'll give you an example. I'm a member of about 39 groups. Those 39 groups are a mixture of local networks for business, specific industries that I worked with in the past, like construction, relevant trade associations. But if you're in a group, once you're in a group, you then open to a wider audience. When I post and then post on, share with my groups, in theory, I reach 1.5 million people. Okay, so groups are very, very powerful. Have a search in groups. So search the subject audience, search the geography, search the industry. Have a look at what groups become available. Join them. You will then see access. You'll have access to people that you don't have access to as an ordinary member until you've joined that group. And when you post in those groups, the content is only viewed by the group's members. So it opens up a whole host of people that you may not know about already. Leave comments on posts. It's the big one here, by the way. If you want to be seen by people, look at influencers in your market. Look at who has a lot of followers, who has traction. Look at their posts. Post a sensible comment in the actual comments afterwards. Get in there early, and what you'll find is people will then look at your profile. The same profile that you've rebuilt beautifully after today. Okay. So first chance there is jump on a popular influencer's post, comment sensibly. Wait for the people to look at your profile, look at who's viewed your profile. There's a way to then introduce yourself to a target audience in the future. I'm very conscious, by the way, I'm now rushing against the clock. If anyone wants to follow any of these points up individually, I'm happy to do so at a later time. Do you pay attention to other people's connections? I'm just going to leave that on screen because, again, the clock is beating me. But you'll be aware of the fact that people have got a first connection, a second, and a third. You're viewable to a third stage connection. So look at your connections. That's a good source of information. your connections could be effort, they could be indexed, or they could be referenced to them. You could say to your connection, do you know Fred Smith? Could you introduce me to Fred Smith? I see he's a connection of yours. Look at your, drill down to the second level, third stage connection. That's the audience that you're going to be influenced by or seen by or introduced to through LinkedIn's program. So look closely at your connections. They can bring great value to you. I'm nearly there, Bip, I promise you, okay? I'm going to go back past that one. What not to do. There's an example here where I had, in fact, so I just realised I've actually broken GDPR. So I thought I'd not. In essence, I'll tell you the tale. Somebody popped a post into me, told me they were the best thing since sliced bread. I had a quick interaction with them, then followed about 5 emails coming back and forth and 5 LinkedIn messages. At the end, it was a case of, I'm not interested in your service. I don't mind talking to you in the future at some stage with a pint in my hand or at a networking event, but leave it. They kept coming back. They kept coming back. Remember that journey. Know, to like, to trust. Okay? Do it step by step. Rome wasn't built in a day, but it needn't take a decade. Okay? Judge it correctly. Judge people online as you would offline. Nurture them. Don't rush in too quick. Lastly, stick at it. Keep posting, keep connecting, keep following up. Don't make today the first, or tomorrow the first day of a 1-week fad or a 2-day fad. If you stick to something, you will get results. I'll tell you now, 3 months of regular targeted LinkedIn activity, doing 15 minutes a day, will bring you results. To prove that, we'll do it for you commercially, but there's my only plug of the day. But if you do something with your profile, if you engage with the right audience, if you engage the right content, show your personality, you can see results in 3 months typically. You could be quicker. It's about buying tickets for the lottery. You could put yourself in front of somebody who exactly wants what you provide, because you're there at the right time in the right place. And with that, there was mass cheering across the masses, and I'm now down to 3 people I've seen. Not really. Okay, and here's your chance where I go, and any questions? Bip, Saqib, save me.
Thank you very much for that, Ian. I think I'm probably guilty of biting into a lot of the time that you had allocated. So sorry about that, Ian.
No, don't worry.
I'm just going to ask Saqib if there's any questions that we've got any to share. Perhaps you could
yeah, sure.
Share them out for Ian to address.
Yeah, fantastic, Ian. Thank you very much for your presentation. Fantastic information from there. I've just got a question from Mr. Bip himself. He's asked me, what kind of response should we be looking at? The investment, also the time period of return of investment.
Well, I think I gave an indication at the end there. I would think 3 months of good, well-planned activity, thought through, professional posts, engaging content. You should start to see traction and results within 3 months. If it ain't working, if you're in 6 months, something's being done wrong. In terms of return on profit, this really comes down to, like any form of lead generation, what is your target audience? What's the value? If I was targeting something like a financial product or an insurance product where I could make thousands or tens of thousands, one good customer would probably pay for a year's activity. Similarly, if I'm selling a very low value or commoditized item, I've got to get regular repeat business. So it's harder to judge that. But to go back to the key question, 3 months, you should be getting signs of traction. You should be getting something working. If you ain't getting it in 6 months, you're doing something wrong.